Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back on another video from Totally Not Mark. We're continuing with his Hunter x Hunter reviews. Really enjoying this. Loving basically recapping the story for myself and loving the differences within the manga and the anime and the original anime adaptation. Finding that quite interesting, and the comment section's always been quite good as well, so thank you for being quite informative there, guys. But we're on the Yorknew arc. This is where the Phantom Troop come in, and oh my god, does the show start getting dark, man. And I love this tone shift. Especially with Kurapika, when he's like got his chain thing, and it's just so freaking cool. I shall sing eternal praise to the people of Kurta. Oh my scarlet eyes, I swear this.
Welcome back everyone to my analysis of Hunter x Hunter,
Yay!
a series that's educated me on some of life's most valuable lessons, introducing questions that have echoed and reverberated in my mind for literal weeks. Questions like, should we seek answers to mysteries that will
the
hurt us?
tape.
Can we redeem ourselves after horrendous acts? And did you know that bungee gum has the properties of both rubber and gum? With each question,
I love it. The joke continues.
Impressed me. Welcome everyone back to my blind review of the Hunter x Hunter manga, and this week's gonna be a doozy as I tackle the first half of this fabled arc, discussing some of the most adult and mature subject matters I think I've ever discussed on this channel concerning shonen. This section masterfully tugged my heartstrings and bonded me to its main character in ways I've never felt before. This is gonna be a tough one, folks, so everyone, thank you for joining me, because today I'll be discussing the mature tale of some young men making their way to Yorknew City and the dark underworld that resides there. I'm
Oh my god.
This is my blind review of Hunter x Hunter's Yorknew City arc.
The Phantom Troop!
This story is bananas, and despite this video covering half of the arc, within the first few chapters it cemented itself as the strongest of the series that I've seen thus far, taking the emotional moments from the first arc and action from the second and third to produce something truly unique and powerful. This is a story that, at least to me, seems to have something
I don't remember seeing that.
to say. Something that I'm honestly not too used to being taken seriously in these types of stories.
Yeah.
Realistic family trouble and the trauma that may sprout from it. Interestingly, for the first time in this story, instead of following one linear path or plot thread from the point of view of Gon, we follow 2 points of view with a couple of other secondary.
Yeah, Kurapika's got like a big thing going on in this.
Kurapika assumes the leading man role in his plot thread during this section of Yorknew City.
I don't remember any of this happening. Someone said they cut a lot of stuff out of the 2011 version.
And stories that are structured this way, because it often ends up building momentum when heading into the second half or the climax of the story. For instance, this is one of the Dragon Ball Z Namek Saga's greatest strengths, within which there isn't really a main single plot.
Yeah, there's just other stuff going on.
But instead, we have the point of view of Gohan and Krillin, Vegeta, Frieza, and
it made it so much more interesting, like seeing other people's perspective. That's a good storytelling trope. I like that.
Is partially down to what it offers the story in terms of pacing. If there's a boring scene, it won't last too long before we switch to something else, but most importantly, this structure helps to build tension. For when these individual plot threads eventually start to intertwine and they blend, tension and momentum the story is afforded is infectious and hard to beat. And that's exactly what this story does. And at points towards the start of this arc, I actually felt myself resonate with Gon more than I think I have even with Luffy or Goku.
Wow, okay.
It's because
Jeez.
I can relate to the good and the bad traits of this character. He's not perfect, and in fact, it's the potential negative attributes he projects through his personality that I find myself resonating with. And that's not something I can say about many other characters in fiction. Now, while the portion of the story I'll be covering today does primarily deal with Kurapika's trials and tribulations in Yorknew City, the scene that has stayed with me long after finishing it has to be the opening section of this arc, when we arrive with Gon and Killua back at Whale Island. There's virtually no action to speak of, and while the scene
not at all, it's just fun.
Beautiful at times, the only reason I hold this sequence in such high regard has to be how it deals with difficult subject matter. Something I've come to love about Hunter x Hunter has been how emotionally resonant it is, as I've mentioned. Togashi isn't afraid to strip away all the pomp and ceremony surrounding a particular scene or scenario or character, and he just allows them to speak openly with each other. Chapter 64 is exactly that, demonstrating a quiet moment of intimate and vulnerable reflection between 2 friends, and I love it for that. Why I love
their friendship is boss.
Like this is largely due to one prevailing factor. It allows us to see the characters for who they really are in as clear a way as possible. We We see how similar Gon is to Killua, but we also see how different they are. It's cute, and just like the rest of the story, there are some hints of sadness dotted across the text, showing us how lonely Gon is and how aimless Killua can be. One exchange that did stick out in my mind as particularly sad was when Gon enthusiastically asked if Killua would stick around with him. I assume in Gon's mind he would want that forever, and while Killua's response was to the affirmative, it was also delivered with significantly less enthusiasm.
Yeah, not as like, yeah, man, I'm with you forever. It's like,
he figures out what he wants to do with his life.
I'm not too sure what's happening.
And when that day comes, I can only imagine how difficult it will be for Gon to take that.
Yeah, to accept that.
In addition to that, this opening section, on top of being a stripped down and engaging narrative, it was also quite beautiful in its depiction of the woods and the star-speckled night sky as the two boys stare up into it, pondering what the future might hold for them. And if that's not relatable, I don't know what is. And that's not even to make mention of the role Ging plays in these opening chapters. Through various flashbacks and recollections, we learn the little information Gon's aunt and grandmother know of him and the means with which he left Gon with them all those years ago.
Yeah, man.
But interestingly, he did leave behind something specifically for Gon. A mysterious box,
Yeah, and he has to have the Nen to get into it, to then use the Nen on the tapes, which is like, whoa.
To this issue, which comes about thanks to the application of what little information they have concerning it. Ging told Mito to give Gon the box after he'd become a hunter. Killua interprets this to mean Nen, and so Gon uses his Nen to open the box and fly open it. It most definitely
I thought that was quite clever. It's like, if once he's become a hunter, he'll know how to use Nen.
From this was how the markings of the box matched the similar markings that were made on the finger trap that Wing used on Gon's finger from the Heavens Arena. Only Nen could break it, and I thought that was an elegant solution Ging used to make sure only Gon could see this.
Class.
Once this box opened, I felt the scene shift from still within the realms of a traditional shonen series and into something seriously realistic concerning the morality of Ging and how that has affected Gon as a character throughout his life. Of the three objects left inside this box, they opt to listen to the tape first, and in it, Ging reiterates numerous times, asking Gon if he's sure he wants to find him, and if he doesn't, to turn off the cassette tape.
And just don't listen,
This decision first, but it actually ended up to be a really great narrative choice that receives an interesting payoff later in the scene, because it gives Gon a means with which to communicate how he feels through action, and loosely gives him a means with which to interact with his father for the first time.
Yeah, he ain't seen him for a long time. Now it's like, oh, do I actually want to go through with this? I'm getting closer, like, whoa.
He describes himself as selfish, and by all accounts, given what we've learned about him through Mito, Gon's aunt, and his grandma, he seems to be a man driven by something else that overshadows his responsibilities as a father. A desire for adventure, or something akin to that perhaps. Gon listens to the remainder of Jing's section before eventually being, in no uncertain terms, challenged to find him, while he, Ging, tries to not be found.
Yeah, so they try and find me, but I won't let you.
I don't normally share my personal life in detail, and that's intentional. But this scene felt as though it was coming from a very personal and authentic place regarding Togashi.
Yeah.
Dealing with concepts, themes, and relationships often not explored in this sort of manga this way, and because of that, I felt the connection with the material that allowed me to relate personally to Gon in this instance. I've mentioned in the past that this series has felt like a story trying to convince me that it's a traditional shonen, all the while the subtle tidbits of poison seeped through the pages that ultimately betrayed its true intention. And in this scene, the beginning to this arc, we explore that very poison I've been expecting to come to the forefront all this time. And when it did, I didn't expect it to be so ruthlessly effective in its telling, and I most certainly didn't see it reflecting in some meaningful ways similarities I've experienced with my own family. With all of that said, the real goal of this scene isn't necessarily what's being said either. Though there is
The tape gets destroyed as well, I love that.
But what I found to be most interesting was the subtext of that scene. And it's what isn't being said, that subtext that I connected with on a foundational emotional level. The zero emotion he refers to Ging with, the detached manner in which he listens and understands Jing's message on the tape, it all leads me to believe that Gon doesn't want to connect with his father or anything like that right now.
Yeah.
Instead, I think he's angry and wishes to confront him, or worse. The tape continues to play, and Ging asks again if Gon...
Yeah, because he's not showing very much emotions, is he?
Without needing to think about it or to hear the
He just stops it,
more, Gon stops the tape and doesn't want to know who his biological mother is.
Yeah.
Because as far as he's concerned, he already
Has a mum. Yeah, I thought that was dead cute.
Which I thought was a really nice and sweet sentiment.
Very nice. It's like, I don't need to know. Yeah. Cute.
However, from this, my biggest takeaway has to be Gon's reaction to hearing that his father wants nothing to do with him. On one
Jeez.
hand, it's conceivable that Ging is simply saying that, but doesn't genuinely
Mean it,
For
yeah.
some to take all of these crazy precautions to make sure no trail can be left behind concerning this message to Gon. If he doesn't want to meet him, why leave a message at all? It's possible that Gon could have picked up on that, and that's why he continued to listen. I mean, it's not inconceivable. He's proven himself to not be an idiot on a number
Yeah, he's not completely stupid.
so maybe he doesn't believe that Ging doesn't want to see him. Or maybe he has other motivations like I mentioned above. Who knows, maybe he resents him and wishes pain onto him. Regardless, I found this scene to be the most emotionally resonant and powerful out of all the chapters I've consumed.
Definitely interesting,
on
like.
this journey. I don't know how to exactly feel about it yet, but Gon seems
Smell my finger.
motivated, so let's see where that
Okay.
leads us.
Greed Island.
Relax, take it easy.
The Flesh Collector's Mansion. These couple of chapters give us our first piece of respite from Gon and Killua.
Greed Island's a really interesting story.
Predicament, which ends up being the focus of the remainder of this video. But don't worry, Gon and Killua still do some cool stuff, so sit tight. To be perfectly honest, throughout the Hunter exams and the Zoldyck family arcs, Kurapika did have a couple of interesting moments, but nothing
really stood out, yeah.
Massive fan of his character, and
But this is where he gets time to shine.
Killua, Gon, and Leorio deal with a lot of the story beats from a comedic and emotional
Excuse
standpoint,
me.
which left Kurapika in my mind as the quiet, smart guy, and even in being that, I felt like Gon was smarter than him in many instances.
Yeah.
This, of course, was my own mistake in pigeonholing him like this, as by the time this video's material completes, I was in love with his character and delighted he got to lead his very own story to show us.
He
as
is
an audience,
amazing
what
in
he's
this
made of. And
story.
spoiler alert, he's made of awesomeness, and while from this point on, Gon, Killua, and eventually Leorio basically go on a much more lighthearted adventure to find enough money for the Greed Island videotape,
Yeah.
which will grant further insight into Gon's father's past. Kurapika's is wall-to-wall action with a
Hell,
smooth noir
yeah.
type feel to its scenes as he gets hired by the mafia to protect a mob boss's daughter until it all goes to hell.
Yeah, it goes wrong, man.
Seeks out the means with which to gain access to Yorknew City's underground auctions. This means being a bodyguard apparently, and it's his interview for this role that makes up his very first scene. As he participates in a real-life game of Among Us, trying to figure out who the imposters
The
are within
music.
the room he resides.
Imposter.
Thankfully, Kurapika is a tryhard and was able to oust them almost immediately, much to the admiration of his eventual teammates heading into Yorknew City. As September rolls around and all our main characters converge on the city, something I will say is that I was waiting for some sort of big unveiling of the space, boasting its civilization, architecture, customs, and culture,
But no, it seems very normal.
Flea markets and hotel rooms, we don't see much of any of this city. Maybe I'm just too accustomed to One Piece, where that is very much its strength, world building.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the world
I
building
have
in
no
One Piece
idea
is
what
something
sort of
else.
city Yorknew is, and I think that's a
Well, his
shame,
basement's
and
done a video on the world
from
building. I
manga,
think he
given how
will be
much time
spoiling
we're
certain bits for me
spending
though, so
here
I will check it out when I
and
get
this area
up
was
to
mentioned leading
like
up to
where
this arc.
he's talking
Admittedly,
about.
this is a small gripe, but it is one that prevails both in the manga and the anime. On an animation front, Kurapika gets some serious shine in this section too, with almost all of the great animation and storyboarding beats elevating his character.
The
to
chain's
heights
so
never
cool.
seen
Whoa.
by him. I'll get into it a little more later on, but goddamn, that weird hand chain thing is cool.
It's
as hell.
amazing.
And even in this scene we just saw, particularly in the 1999 version, the animation we see him perform within is oh so satisfying.
Wow.
It's around this time we check back in with Gon and Killua as they try to locate the game Greed Island online. Something I honestly find hilarious about Hunter x Hunter's manga is how it at random changes from a timeless story to one that very clearly betrays its age. Anytime something concerning the internet is brought up, Togashi feels it necessary to explain in detail how it actually works for those of us reading, because let's not forget, these mangas were published in a time where the internet wasn't all too prevalent, so it could be
Amazing.
the fact that a lot of people didn't know what it was.
Well, how it actually worked, yeah, so.
Oh, this is where the magic happens, huh? The ground zero personal computing.
This can be seen when Gon looked up where Killua's home is, and now once again where Killua explained how online shopping works as they look for this universe's PlayStation to put the memory
The
card
Joy
of his
Station.
dad in. It appears the game data on the memory card points to a game exclusive to hunters called Greed Island, a game that has only 100 copies available throughout the world, one which sucks you into its game and uses Nen to function. I like this literal mystery box left behind by Ging. Not in like an endearing sense, if anything this is sort of a weird and borderline mentally manipulative thing to do to your estranged son, but all that aside, it's exciting to see what new information unfolds as Gon presses forward towards his ultimate goal. I also like how we don't get introduced to any more new characters right off the bat.
It is weird that they were setting up the whole time for Greed Island, like he knew Greed Island was going to happen.
Of my last video. Using this gem of a character, we learned that the game will be up for auction at none other than
Yorknew.
City.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh,
And
yeah.
interestingly,
Yeah.
instead of the standard chapter titles I've come to expect from every volume so far, the story of Yorknew City is broken up into several days from September 1st until the auction later that week. And so, in the remaining section of this video, I will be covering the activity and chapters in Yorknew City from September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Okay. Do this. Hunter, Hunter.
Spiders.
Do 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 do.
September 1st. September 1st material contains the single most important event that drives this arc forward. The massacre at the...
Oh my god,
Three
yes.
versions of this event offered up to us.
Machine Gun Finger Man.
All but one of them works for me. The event that's depicted is the mafia squad that Kurapika has been recruited into arriving at an auction of interest to their employer, and those delegated to participate in said auction stand inside, while the others, including Kurapika, scope the place out.
They're outside waiting.
The
Yeah.
massacre that eventually takes place is meant to act as a surprise and as an inciting incident, and while it is both of those things, I don't think I liked it all that much, or at
Huh?
least I don't like how it was handled. While it did surprise me, it did so in such a way that made me confused and think that I might have missed a page or two. Additionally, this section of the manga goes at quite a speedy pace, and while I normally like that, if it does come at the cost of clarity, then that's where I draw the line. And while I was reading this, I had tons of questions in my head, like, is this the auction that Gon went to for Greed Island? Why were there so much mafia there? And finally, I had no idea who was on Kurapika's team. I didn't know them at all, and for that very reason, I felt nothing when they all died.
Yeah, when they got
Now,
bonked off, yeah.
obviously, an easy counter to that would be, well, this is a surprise, so it's meant to leave you off balance, just like the characters were taken off guard themselves. And to that I say, yeah, sure. But for me, when reading stories, what makes surprises effective in their telling is how it recontextualizes the events of that story, whether that be in the past or
She's
the future.
weird, man.
When those goons revealed themselves initially, I actually wasn't 100% sure who they were and what this would mean for the story. This remains true in the 99 version of the narrative also, but
Right.
2011's adaptation I honestly thought made things much more clear and enjoyable for me. In this
Right.
particular instance, the event has slightly more telegraphs, is much less abrupt, and built up to as we feel the tension rise in the amphitheater. We get to see the key characters more, and leading up to it, we understand their motivations that little bit more also.
Okay.
And so, on this occasion, the 2011 version, I thought, allowed this section to breathe a little more.
Probably why I didn't have problems with it then, because I've only seen the 2011. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So yeah, these guys are the Spider Troop,
Yep.
and they were initially after the winnings of the auction. Hisoka included, and the fight that ensues
Kurolo.
is quite brutal with this dude called Uvo also.
Oh my god,
He's
this
physically the
fight.
most powerful of the troop, and he plows through the number one attackers of each of the Mafia's ranks. That is until he runs into Kurapika. This chain that Kurapika has is friggin' amazing, and probably makes him the most powerful guy on the side of good, if you want to call it that right now.
When it comes to fighting the Phantom
He
Troop.
gets some of the best lines in the manga. Once he has Uvo restrained, he says, "This ability I will only use on the spiders. Its sole purpose is to capture them and deprive them of their liberty."
Oof.
Jeez, that's cold-blooded. But
Oof.
also, it's great to see new Nen types popping up all over the place and used in such creative and innovative ways.
Yeah, man,
This
I like
one
seeing
is
different Nen
particularly
abilities,
interesting
like,
because
oh,
it comes
it's so
with
cool.
Conditions that if he breaks them will lead to him instantly
He'll
losing
die.
his life.
Yeah.
A nice Chekhov's gun that I can't wait to see prop up later on in the story while it explodes in his face. All the while he has this guy reprimanded, Hisoka wants to confront him about something. Apparently he wants to fight the Spider-Head Honcho and kill him, which
Yep.
means Kurapika now has an incentive to work alongside Hisoka.
Hisoka, yeah.
The plot
Oh.
thickens. September 2nd. Okay.
I do like the whole
I'm sure
Hisoka wanting
this
to fight
will be
Crollo
the
just
day
because he
and
wants to have a
the
good fight,
fight
man.
we
It's
will
like,
discuss.
Hisoka's weird. It's like, I just want to really fight. That's why he's like, not killed Gon, because he sees
While
potential
that
in
was
him.
super fun and gave a lot of opportunities for comedic moments,
This
it
was
an
good.
interaction that was pretty intense. Kurapika versus Uvo is easily the main event of
It's
this
so
section. This fight
freaking
is a
sick.
terrific example of how to toe the line of awesome and emotion. Kurapika throughout this arc has been struggling with his emotions and keeping himself in check. Sometimes
Doesn't
he
have to now.
wonders without the aid of friends along the way. This achieves two things narratively. It helps to communicate how much he yearns to enact revenge,
Yep.
and it helps us see that Kurapika doesn't enjoy this feeling he has, treating it almost like a bandage he needs to rip off quickly. With one of the most telling moments in this fight being that of its ending. Faced with the stubborn and ruthless Uvo unyielding to his demands to give him information regarding his allies, Kurapika is forced to kill him.
I loved that. He goes out just not giving him any info.
Like his family
just refuses.
Kurapika takes the time to dig him a grave on his own, highlighting for us the difference
But,
in these
right,
two
that grave was already dug before the fight.
But just like the Hunter exams, we know
He knew he was going to kill him and he knew he was going to bury him, man. That's brutal.
And what a fight it is in all versions of this story, from the manga to 99 to even 2011.
I'm sure he did anyway. I'm sure, yeah, like he had the grave already there for him.
99 in particular has some terrific storyboarding with some unreal use of color in places. And in the interest of being fair, because I praised 2011 earlier, on this occasion between the two anime versions of the fight, something I noticed while watching them was that the 99's interpretation, with its solemn and bleak soundtrack, seemed to be more in line with the characters and tone of the narrative, I think. While 2011's version seems to be more... on the hype train with the audience. The hype surrounding the fight and occasion in the 2011 version grants it music that befits the high-paced action, yes, but this, however, does not serve the scene or story, and instead works against it in some respects. In 1999's anime adaptation, the music is subdued and somber by design.
Oh, right, okay.
I think it ought to be, made all the more obvious by Kurapika's laments towards its conclusion as he admits to his hatred for pain and suffering. This entire conflict is one he loathes and hates to participate within, but he feels emotionally conflicted and dragged into these altercations due to the heinous actions of others that slaughtered his family. From a fictional lore standpoint, this fight introduces me to possible strategies different Nen users have when facing off against enhancers and conjurers.
Yeah.
With Kurapika's strat being, well, getting all the powers, I guess? Yeah, all the powers. As long as he has the scarlet eyes and sticks to the rules of the chains that he conjured up, then he is pretty much a master that wields the max power of all of the different Nen types as a specialist. This seems, to me at least, massively overpowered, but let's see how this one goes as Kurapika walks as a god exacting judgment.
Yeah, but it's only on the Phantom Troop, isn't it? You can't do it to, like, just anybody.
Now, the intrigue for me comes not from the question, can Kurapika pull this off, but instead, how are the Spider Troop going to deal with this powerhouse of a blonde guy?
Yeah.
September 3rd. So, Gon sells his hunter license. Excuse me? Yeah, okay, so this kid's only mission, it seems, quite literally, is to find his father. This license means
nothing
to him, despite everything he went through to get it.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that decision from a character writing point of view. Gon is single-minded in his goal and will not deviate.
Yeah, he'll do anything to get there. Yeah, it's quite cool. I like that.
And assuredness when it came to the cassette tape left behind by Ging. Throughout this entire subplot with Gon, Killua, and eventually Leorio, we follow them as they try in earnest to make as much money as possible so that they can participate in the Greed Island video game auction that now takes place in just 3 days.
My God.
They've tried going about wasting the money in ethical ways by trying to buy and resell stuff, and they've even tried hustling for an entire day, arm wrestling to their heart's content. But alas, they still fall far short of their initial goal.
No.
Thankfully, however, this is where their plot thread starts to pick up some steam. Togashi needed to find a way for them to earn some decent money, and so in addition to Gon selling his license, he came up with, I think, a brilliant plan for the boys. To use their Nen to find products of interest in the flea market and sell them on for significantly greater profits. And it works! I love this idea because it proves how versatile Nen is.
Yeah, Nen can be used for absolutely anything.
This gentleman. Now, interestingly, this appraiser, he makes note of something I've realized already about Gon. If you recall back to my video concerning Killua's murder of another man during the Hunter exams, I mused curiously over how Gon didn't pay that heinous murder of an innocent man any attention really whatsoever. Similar to Killua, in that moment, Gon doesn't care if he, the appraiser, has a shady past, and he ignores all the negatives associated with it. It's just curiosity. And the appraiser notices this specifically, saying, I couldn't figure out why this kid intrigued me, but I have an idea. He isn't concerned with whether something is good or bad. He's walking a fine line.
Interesting.
Now, that's a really interesting and sort of reserved way of saying that Gon isn't really concerned with morality.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Togashi made to imbue a young character like that with this poison.
Like I was saying, there is a video called "The Morality of Gon," by Alexander, I do believe. Good video.
But in reality, he's proven himself to us to be much more contemplative and cunning than toy, which may very well be a breadcrumb pointing us, the audience, in the clear direction Gon is heading down. There are tons of conflicting thoughts swirling around in my head concerning Gon and Killua. To be honest, on one hand, I love them as characters, but on the other, they have very, very clear issues stemming from their family that I know will manifest in some explosive ways down the line. And these breadcrumbs are the hints to that eventual moment. And now, it's time for those plot threads to converge. Kurapika now concerned of the remaining spider troop forces, and Gon's crew now looking to apprehend them for the reward money. There's this great scene that pops up as Gon and Killua discuss how best to go about this once they get their eyes on their targets. It's really awesome getting to see Killua's surveillance or assassin.
It's fun seeing Leorio being a distraction as well in that. Like,
it's also pretty funny seeing how bad Leorio and Gon are at trying to look natural.
here we are, yeah.
We knew this already. Gon is incredible at stalking someone, made obvious during the Hunter exams with Hisoka. Now, what makes this scene all the more tense as we build towards this choice they make is that Killua remarks even his father had trouble with this spider troop, and unbeknownst to either of the boys, is being called into action once again to apprehend them by the mob after what they pulled in the auction on September 1st.
Yeah, that's kind of sick when they turn up, man. When the Zoldikes just turn up, it's like,
oh my god. Until they reach some abandoned building where
they know they're there, yeah. Run away!
okay, I hate to do this, but this is where I'm going to have to leave this
Yeah.
on a crazy cliffhanger that I honestly can't wait to get back to reading this week and review for you all next Thursday when I finish.
Hell
Remember, if you like
yeah.
these videos, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to keep up with this series and never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon now. I don't normally mention that, so I thought I'd give it a go this once off. And besides, you won't want to miss next week when I review and finish one of Hunter x Hunter's
Grow
most
out.
famous and fan-favorite arcs, Yorknew City's second half. See you all there next
Yorknew arc really did take me by surprise, because obviously the arc before it was just they had the tournament bit, didn't you? And it was like, oh, that's kind of fun, and then boom, people are dying, mafia, mob bosses, Kurapika's got this new Nen ability, he's murdering people, the fights are incredible, it's like, what's going on? So yeah, it's this. Then the Greed Island arc, which I thought was like the weakest of all the arcs, but that's just my personal opinion. I do know people that do really enjoy Greed Island. And then the Chimera Ant arc, oh my god, it's just, that is some sick stuff, Chimera Ant arc. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below, let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. I'll see you guys, just all you guys, next time.